Good morning, students. So this is lecture 4 of chapter number 4, Agriculture, class 10, subject Geography. So in the previous lectures, we have talked about mainly what is agriculture, then the types of farming. Mainly there are 4 types of farming, which is primitive, commercial, plantation and intensive. Then we have talked about the cropping seasons, which are mainly described into Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. Then all the major crops that are grown and produced in India, which are rice, wheat, different types of pulses, maize, etc. and food crops which are other than the grains, which are sugarcane, tea, coffee. All these things we have talked about, in which particular stage they are produced and what is the current ratio and number of these crops. Then we talked about the non-food crops as well, and the technological and institutional reforms that are being assigned by the government in the favor of the farmers. Now in this particular lecture we will talk about and continue the topic, which is contribution of agriculture to the national economy, then employment and output. So how does the contribution of agriculture affect our national economy, then the employment and the major output that it gives to the GDPA of our country. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about the food security as well. So what are the basic things that we are doing to secure our food? We'll talk about that, and the homework solution that I've given you in the previous lecture, we'll talk about that, and the homework that I'm going to assign you in this particular lecture. So all these things we are going to cover in this particular lecture. So let's get started. First of all, we are going to talk about the contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and the major output it gives to our economy. So you have studied in your economics chapter as well about this, that agriculture has been always the backbone of the Indian economy through its share in the gross domestic product. So it's basically the main GDPA is the share of the main GDPA of our country is basically majorly is rising because of the agriculture sector only, because all the major employment sector and all majorly 2/3 of the people are employed in this particular sector only. That's why agriculture is always being the backbone of the Indian economy through its share in the GDPA. Then it has been registered a decline trend from 1951 onwards, and in 2010 and 11 about 52% of the total workforce was employed in the farm sector, which makes more than half of the Indian population dependent on agriculture for subsistence. So basically there was a decline in 1951 where there was not much of the labor force that was there in agriculture. People was wondering, they were landless, they don't have land to even have their own or they can produce their own crops in particularly lands. But there was a shift that came, you all know about that shift. We have talked about in the economics chapter as well, that shift that came from the primary to the tertiary sector. Because of that also there was a certain impact on the agriculture sector. But now also in 2010-11, if we talk about, 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector only. Till now it is there. Majorly now it has been shifted to the tertiary sector, but still in the primary sector agriculture work is still there, and more basically 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector, which makes more than half of the Indian population dependent on the agriculture only. Now the declining share of agriculture in the GDPA is a matter of serious concern, because any decline and stagnation in agriculture will lead to a decline in other spheres of the economy, having wider implications for our society as well. So there is a major decline that came in our agriculture sector, because there was a major shift that came from agriculture to the tertiary sector. Now people are educated and they are working in their tertiary sector, and there are not much of employment that have been assigned in agriculture sector. So they are using all the modern techniques, they have a labor force, but it is not sufficient and it is not contributing much in the GDP now. So it's a matter of a serious concern because any decline in any sector, it is a cause for the decline in the sphere of the economy itself. So अगर किसी भी sector में decline होगा, so obviously it is going to affect our economy only. So for a wider implication of this, they have thought for the benefits of the society and for the economy as well. They thought to consider the importance of agriculture in India. So considering the importance of agriculture in India, the government of India made concerted efforts to modernize this agriculture. So they want to develop the agriculture sector into such a territory so that people should not feel ashamed, or they should also develop this agriculture sector into a modernized agriculture sector, so people could also contribute here, and there should be a balance that should be maintained in each and every territory and which each and every sector there. So establishment of Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So there is one center which is known as Indian Council of Agriculture Research, that is started by these agriculture universities. Now this particular course gives us the veterinary services and animal breeding centers, horticulture development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast, etc., where given priority for improving Indian culture is being assigned. So basically this kind of course is given to majorly people so that people could learn the agriculture sector. They should know about different services that have been there in agriculture sector. They should know about horticulture development, all the research that happen in these particular field, all the development that should be there. So they should learn and understand the importance of each and every aspect in this particular course, so that they could improve and modernize the agriculture sector also. Now apart from this, improving the rural infrastructure was also considered essential. For the same, the GDP growth rate is increasing over the years. So apart from this, the improving of the rural infrastructure was also needed, so that they should consider the essential the same for the GDP growth rate increasing over the year. It is not generating sufficient employment opportunities in our country, because till now if we talk about 52% is there, but still it is lacking, because majorly 2/3 of the people should be assigned in the agriculture sector if we need a particular balance and proper growth of GDP, but it is not sufficient and it is not increasing as it should increase. So the employment opportunities in our country is also decline in that particular sector, and the growth rate in agriculture is decelerating, which is an alarming situation. So basically the growth rate in agriculture is also declining. It is not improving. It is just stable, or it is declining in some way. In some years it is declining and some way it is stable. It is not coming up. So today Indian farmers are facing a big challenge from international competition, and our government is going ahead with reduction in the public investment in agriculture sector, particularly in irrigation, power, rural roads, market and mechanization. So basically today our Indian farmers are facing a lot of big problems, because there is a competition that is coming in their way by this international competition. So they have to come up with a part from, they have a certain competition that I just told you, that India is second largest company, largest producer after China. So it is being tested which country is rising in which state, which in each and every sector, each and every country is being judged, and there is a certain competition. So the government also taking certain steps so that they are investing in public in this agriculture sector, particularly in irrigation, power, rural roads, market and all these things. They are investing so that they should also come up and level up to other countries as well. So till now the government have taken a lot of efforts, and they have taken certain strategies so that they could build this, but they are not even far so to build that particular stage till now. And subsidy on fertilizer is decreased, leading to increase in the cost of production. So basically they have reduced, or they have like giving subsidies on fertilizers. They are not giving to the farmers now, and that basically led to the increase in the cost of production. So now the government is certainly taking actions on the secondary and tertiary sector. They are actually abolishing the agriculture sector now, and they are not giving them proper things. They are not even giving them subsidy on fertilizers, so it could reduce the production rate, but it is they are not giving that, it is decreasing, and that is leading to the cost of production now. And moreover, reduction in import duties on agriculture products have proved detrimental to agriculture in the country. So they basically, all the reduction in the import duties that is there from our country to other countries, all the agriculture products that are transferring from our country to other country is also decreasing, so that they can actually get the goodwill from the other countries. So basically they want to gain the goodwill from other countries, so they are giving them in less rate. They are importing less duties on these agriculture things, and they are taking all the things into very minor rates. So the farmers are withdrawing their investment from agriculture, causing a downfall in the employment in agriculture. So farmers also thought that if they are not giving them sufficient money, they are actually withdrawing from this particular field, and they want to invest in something else apart from this agriculture. So this particular field is causing a downfall in the employment sector as well. Now we'll talk about the food security. So you know that food is a basic need, and every citizen of the country should have access to food. So basically food is the necessary of life. Without food we cannot live. So it is a basic need, and every citizen of the country should have access to food which provides minimum nutritional level. So if any segment of our population does not have this access, that segment suffers from lack of food security. So if any part of our country, or any part of any area of our country does it can be counted in any sort of population, does not have this kind of access, the segment suffers from the lack of food security. So all the people who are living in that particular area will suffer from lack of food security. So the number of people who do not have food security is disproportionately large in some regions of our country, and particularly in economically less developed states with higher incidence of poverty. So basically you all know today's scenario that we are facing with this coronavirus thing, and now people are actually starving for food. They don't even have one meal a day, because many of the labor force that were living in the urban area, they have come up, and they now worked on the wages. So they work on per day wages salary. So from there only they get their food. But now they don't have employment, they don't have any sort of work, so they are not even able to get that one meal a day. So government is taking certain initiative, and many other people are still taking initiative, but still there are number of basically these rural people who are around us, they are suffering from this lack of food security, and they are not even able to survive also because of this. So there is a large proportion, and it can be in some regions it could be huge, because there is particularly less developed areas, and with particularly it can happen in economically less developed states as well, with higher incidence of poverty. So in many states like Maharashtra, there is slum area, there is high rate of poverty. In UP there are many particular states where there are high incidence of poverty, which you can see, and the remote areas of the countries are more prone to natural disasters and uncertain food supplies. Basically in some of the areas, some uncertain calamities that occur like flood and all these things. So many of them are prone to natural disaster and uncertain with food supply. In order to ensure availability of food to all sections of society, our government carefully designed a national food security system. So in order to ensure the availability of food to each and every person in each and every sector of the society, the government has carefully designed a national food security system, and it consists of two components. Firstly, about the buffer stock, and second, in the public distribution system. So firstly, give in a bulk stock, and second they have initiated a component which is public distribution system. So how they work? So basically, as you know, the PDS is a program which provides food grains and other essential commodities at subsidized prices in rural and urban areas. So basically, the PDS is a kind of a program which provides food essential items, basically rice and meat and other essential commodities at a very low rate prices in the rural and urban areas, because India's food security policy has a primary objective to ensure availability of food grains to the common people at an affordable price. So basically, India's food security system and the policy they have made has a primary objective to ensure availability of food grains to the common people at an affordable price there. So it is enabled the poor to have access to food. So they basically wanted that the poor also should have equal access to food, and the focus of the policy is on growth in agriculture production. So the main focus of the policy is on the growth in the agriculture production and on fixing the support price for procurement of wheat and rice. So basically, the stable food of India, they want that it should be given to in an equal fixed price rate, so that people should get access, all the people around us should access to at least wheat and rice, which is the staple food of India. So they basically wanted that people should access to at least the staple food of India, and they actually fix the price for of these particular crops and to maintain their stocks. So Food Corporation of India (FCA) is responsible for procuring and stocking food grains. Basically, Food Corporation of India is responsible for procuring and stocking all the food grains, whereas distribution is ensured by public distribution system. So we have talked in our economics chapter as well, so how they are able to give food to each and every sector. So it is being assigned, so the resources is also being assigned to each and every sector which need it more and which doesn't need more. So it is being assigned to particularly areas. Now the FCI procures food grains from the farmers at the government announced minimum support price. So the FCI procures all the food grains from the farmers at the government announced for the minimum support price to all the crops they are producing. So the government used to provide subsidies also on agriculture inputs such as fertilizers, power and light. So the government have taken such a certain initiatives for the farmers, so that if they are producing these kind of crops, so they will be given certain subsidies on agriculture inputs, which is fertilizers, power and water. And these subsidies have now reached unstable levels and have also led to large scale inefficiencies in the use of them scarce input. So basically, now the subsidies have also reached to unstable levels, so they are not even enough for them, because the rate and how the level of destroying of these crops are being increasing day by day because of the changing monsoon and changing of the seasons that are occurring. So because of that, they have led to a large scale of inefficiencies in the use of these scarce inputs. Then excessive and imprudent use of fertilizers and water has led to waterlogging, salinity and depletion of essential micronutrients in the soil. So there is basically the excess use of fertilizers and is also spoiling the soil range also, and it is basically led to waterlogging, salination, and there is a depletion of micronutrients that are there in the soil also. So it is spoiling the fertility level of the soil by the major use of fertilizers. It is the water is also led to waterlogging. Now salination is also there. So the high MCB subsidies in input and committed FCI purchases have distorted the cropping pattern. So the things that have been assigned from by this MCP, all the subsidies that they have given to them, so they are using in such a large number, they are purchasing in such a large number, and basically destroying the crop area, destroying the fertility of the soil, each and everything. So it is basically a disaster. It is distorted the cropping pattern, and wheat and paddy crops are being grown more for the MCP they get. So they are basically for the stable food system only. So they are developing all these things for the stable food, so that that particular thing should not be deficient for the country. So they are as they want to increase the food level of their wheat and rice, they actually used a lot of fertilizers which have spoiled each and everything there. So Punjab and Haryana are foremost examples. This has also created a serious imbalance in intercrop parties. So this has also created a serious imbalance in the intercrop parties. Now you already know that the consumers are divided into two categories, which are below poverty level, which is BPL, and above poverty level, which is APL. So with the issue price being different for each category, however, this categorization is not perfect, and a number of deserving poor have been excluded from the BPL category. So moreover, some of the so-called APL slip back to BPL. So majorly we have two particular categories, from below poverty level and above poverty level. From according to them, they issue the price different in different categories, but many are using this in a different way, because however this categorized in is not perfect, and number of deserving poor are still excluded from the BPL category. And moreover, some of the also APL slip, they are giving back to the BPL. So because of the failure of even one crop, and it is administratively difficult to accommodate such stuff. Now each district and block can be made self-sufficient in food grain production if the government provides proper agriculture infrastructure credits, linkage, and also encourage the use of latest techniques instead of concentrating only on rice or wheat. The food crop with a better growth potential in that particular area must be encouraged. So if every district and block can made self-sufficient in food grain production, the government can provide major stuff and major proper agricultural infrastructure, and that can lead to credit linkage and also encourage the use of latest technologies. So instead of concentrating only on the development of rice and wheat only, the food crop with a better growth potential in that particular area must be encouraged. Creation of necessary infrastructure like irrigation facilities, availability of electricity, etc. may also attract private investments in agriculture. So instead of focusing only on the growth of rice and wheat, they could give that proper concentration on other crops as well for the better potential in that particular area, which the government could also take stand, and they could also, these particular areas could encourage. And creation of necessary infrastructure like irrigation facilities, availability of electricity may also attract private investments in agriculture as well. So the focus on increasing food grain production, which should be on a sustainable basis, and also free trade in grains, will create massive employment and reduce poverty in rural areas. So basically, if we focus on increasing food grain production, which should be the sustainable basis, and also free trade in grains, will create massive employment and reduce the poverty for the rural areas. There have been a gradual shift from cultivation of food crops to cultivation of crops now. So there was a gradual shift that came from the food crops to the cultivation of fruits, vegetables, oil seeds, and industrial crops now. And this has led to the reduction in net sown areas under cereals and pulses. Now we can study about this later on. So till now what we have studied in this particular lecture is the contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output, which is agriculture has been the backbone of Indian economy through its share in the gross domestic product, and has registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards, and 2010-11 about 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector. And declining the share of agriculture in the GDP is a matter of serious concern, because any decline and stagnation in agriculture will lead to a decline in a other spheres of economy having wider implications for society. Establishment of Indian Council of Agriculture Research and Agriculture Universities, veterinary services and animal breeding centers, horticulture and development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast, etc., were given priority for improving our Indian agriculture sector. Now the growth and the major growth sectors that we can see from 10 5-year plan in 2010 to 7, then 11, and then to 2012 to 17, you can see the growth rate of GDP because of the agriculture sector here. So it is quite increasing only from 1.7 to 3.2 to 4 and now 4.2. Now the industries sector, you can see the development is coming up and down, and service sector is just stable. It is not improving, it is not declining. So the major sector which you can see is coming up, but it is not growing. It is stable only. It is not coming that far, which is the industries and service sector is giving to them, but it is particularly not declining. It is not growing much, but it is not declining either. So it is just stable. So through the GDP rate is increasing over the years, it is not generating sufficient employment opportunities in the country because the growth in agriculture is decelerating, and Indian farmers are facing a big challenge from international competition, and our government is going ahead with reduction in the public investment in agriculture sector. Subsidy on fertilizer is decreased, leading to increase in the cost of production, and that is the reduction in import duties on agriculture products have improved harmful to agriculture in the country. Farmers are withdrawing their investment from agriculture, causing a downfall in the employment in our agriculture sector. And then we have talked about food security. So what is food security system? In order to ensure availability of food to all sectors of society, our government carefully designed a national food security system. It consists of two components, which are buffer stock and public distribution system. So the PDS is a program which provides food grains and other essential commodities at subsidized prices in rural and urban areas, and the primary objective of this policy is to ensure food grains to common people at affordable prices. The policy focuses on growth in agriculture production and on fixing the support price for procurement of wheat and rice to maintain the stock, and Food Corporation of India procures the stock for the food grain whether a distribution is ensured by the PDS. So, and did you know that India is the largest waster of food? So we waste food the most in the entire world. So how do these food grains procured and what are the advantages and disadvantages of this method? We will talk about this in our next lecture. Now the homework solution. So you have to write a short note on the various technological and institutional reform programs that were introduced in the interest of farmers. So the solution here is the various institution reform programs introduced by the government in the interest of the farmers are: first, minimum support price policy that have been given for the farmers, then subsidy on agricultural inputs and resources such as power and fertilizer. Then the Kisan credit card, personal and crop insurance schemes, etc. have been launched. A comprehensive land development program was also being launched for these farmers only. So these are few of the initiatives and programs that have been introduced by the government in the interest of the farmers only. Now the homework for the day is you just have to prepare for your test because it is going to be tomorrow. So you have to prepare for that test from the subject Geography, Chapter 1, Resources and Development, and it is going to be of 25 marks, and the time will be given to you. It will be between 9 to 10 only. So the test is going to start at 9 AM and it is going to end till 10. So the time also I will give you entirely in written also, just for your knowledge. I am just telling you by this lecture only. So please start preparing for your test, and that's it. If you still have queries from that particular chapter, you can ask me before the test, and if you have queries from this particular lecture that I have given you, you can ask me from this lecture also. So thank you so much class. Take care of you and your family as well. Thank you.